And we're live. Hey people, welcome to episode 264 of the Sports Therapy Association podcast. My name is Matt Phillips, creator of UnshutLive.com. And as always, this episode is being recorded live on the Sports Therapy Association YouTube channel and Facebook on a Tuesday night at 8 o'clock. So in this episode entitled Collaboration Over Competition, the Unbound Project, 9 months on, I will very shortly be joined by Andrew McCauley. Well, not Andrew McCauley because he sadly can't be here. But I will be joined by Andy Hosgood and Andy Thomas. These three gentlemen are the founders of the Unbound Project, which is a community for healthcare practitioners and business owners to collaborate rather than compete. So basically to get together and to share problems and solutions in a non-judgmental, safe place. They were last on the podcast 9 months ago in episode 225, Collaboration Over Competition. So tonight they're going to discuss how the project is going and what they have learned along the way. Before I bring those guys up, then I must thank my guests from last week in episode 263, Rehab Guru, the all-in-one platform for clinic management and exercise prescription, in which I was joined by Rehab Guru founders David Barrow and Simon Taylor, who revealed new features and integrations, including bookings, invoicing, treatment notes, scan.com, expanded customer support. It was a massive episode. And for those of you using Rehab Guru who are aware of it, there were so many great updates, and it was a really nice chat with the two guys. They discussed in particular new AI tools for transcribing notes, auto-generating and progressing exercise programs, and a whole lot more, including a new partnership which they've got with the Better Clinician Project, Ben Cormack and Adam Meekins, which means that Rehab Guru exercise prescription software licenses now come with free membership of the Better Clinician Project and vice versa, which is pretty incredible, really. So it's definitely worth listening to and checking that out. And like the STA, Rehab Guru will be at Therapy Expo this coming 26th and 27th of November at the NEC Birmingham. So if you are coming this year, be sure to visit Rehab Guru at stand TB31 and also the STA stand at TE7, which is basically where we have been for the last 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years or something. So we'll be on the back wall there next to the ST school. So yeah, do come and say hello there. And if you are coming along to Therapy Expo, then like I've announced a couple of times now, if you're interested in improving communication skills as a clinician, then come and join me for my practical presentation, Mindful Strides, Communication Skills for Working with Runners, and anyone else for that matter, which is happening on day 1 at 3:50 p.m. in Theatre B, right before the wonderful Michelle Lyons. So we'd love to see you there if possible. Right then, enough of that. Let's crack on with tonight's episode, 264, Collaboration Over Competition, the Unbound Project, 9 months on, with founders Andy Hosgood and Andy Thomas. Hey guys, how you doing?
Good evening, Matt.
Yeah, that's fine. That's good. We got over what a podcast is. You're speaking, which is great. I always feel so horrible announcing stuff I'm doing myself. Why should I? It's ridiculous, isn't it? What's that all about? Feels like I should go to a safe, non-judgmental space and talk about this with some coaches and just explain why I feel self-conscious about announcing something I'm doing professionally, but we won't dwell on that now. How are you both? Andy Hosgood, first of all, so we get to know your dulcet tones, and then we'll come in with Andy Thomas. So how are you, Andy Hosgood?
Very good, and again, privileged to be invited back.
Privileged, honestly. People will know your name, hopefully, from the recent STA and Hands on Hub conference, which we did in Exmouth, which you just shone at. I mean, I don't want to build your ego up even higher than it is, but it was just brilliant. The feedback for you was exceptional. It was everything we wanted to do. It was great. They felt that your presentation at the end of the close was a little bit short, could have been longer, but apparently that was because the guy before you just went on a little bit.
Well, the guy before me, we just had so much good content he wanted to share that we felt it was only right to allow him that opportunity, correct?
That's really nice. That's collaboration. There's a perfect example there. If the person before you's got more to say, then great, just collaborate. So thank you for that. But honestly, in all seriousness, it was me. Yeah, just
assuming that was you. Yeah,
that was
just to clarify.
Yeah, it was me. But I have bought an Amazon timer since just to stop that from happening again. But anyway, it was brilliant. It was exactly, and it really coincided with the kind of thing which you guys are doing in terms of just creating a situation where it's not just everybody fawn over the guru speaker at the front. It's kind of turning that camera around and going, okay, guys, what do you want to know? I've got loads of stuff to tell you, but what's the point unless it's something you need and you're desiring and motivated to learn it? So it was really cool. And then Andy Thomas, how are you? Thank you very much for joining us.
I'm great, thanks. And I think that point that you mentioned there is about all of these things. I'm so sick of the bit where you've got someone pitching to someone else, and I've never felt like that. And everything that I do, and I want thus 𝐒𝐸𝐴𝐺 doing, and any projects that I'm involved in, it's just always conversations and just discussions with it really. And that's what I'm buzzing at the moment as to the work that I'm doing, because all I'm doing is having conversations. As you say, Matt, I'm traveling around the UK a lot and doing that. But just trying to understand what's going on in the industry. So no, I love it. I feel really lucky to be a part of it, and it's great to come on this tonight as well.
It is. I mean, both of you. This is where social media is actually a positive thing, because following both of you just shows the passion you've both got for the industry and communicating with others, and the stuff both of you post is just amazing. So I do recommend, we'll give these out at the end as well, but as we're talking about it now, I would encourage people to follow on Instagram, maybe, if you're into that. So Andy_𝐶𝐸𝐴𝐺, which is 𝐵HYSIQUIPE, the company 𝐒𝐸𝐴𝐺. Is that pronunciation okay? 𝐒𝐸𝐴𝐺.
It's perfect. It's
okay,
perfect. Until you asked if it was right or not, it was perfect.
It took me ages as a therapy expert to master that. I just walked past there without saying anything, so I was embarrassed about not being able to say it. But there we go, Andy_𝐶𝐸𝐴𝐺. And then if you want to follow Andy Hosgood, then that you can unlock_with_coaching. Really inspirational stuff. Putting social media to a good use rather than just a lot of the rubbish we see out there. So we are here today, 9 months since you were last on the show. In episode, what was it going back then? It was 200 and, well, it was 9 months ago, 220 something. And I think that was when you were more or less launching it, wasn't it? It was back in April or something. And you were you just done the score app, or you were putting the scorecard out there and getting feedback. But for people who aren't aware of the Unbound project, maybe you could kind of give us a summary of why it came up in the first place. Why did you get together, both of you, with Andrew Macaulay, and decide that this was something our industry needed?
I'm happy to go with my explanation for my bit. So I'm part of a peer-to-peer group. So on Thursday, for example, I'll go and get together with other business leaders. It's not industry specific, but I've been a part of that for the last just over 3 years. And it's had such a transformative thing for me in developing my confidence. Also just learning practical things, hanging out with other people that are finding it, it's lonely when you're running a company. It's, even though you've got a great team, loads of support, it's hard. And having that place that I go to, get out of my day-to-day environment, is massively important. I'm really excited to go to that on Thursday, because I just know I can switch off everything else, and I do switch off my phone, everything, and I'm purely present in that day. And it's been really great for me. And whether it's a coincidence or not, the company 𝐒𝐸𝐴𝐺 is doing really well in that time period. I feel freer, more confident. So when Andy and I have been chatting about doing things for absolutely years, and when we started to work on what is this going to be, like even the last time we were on, it wasn't even the Unbound project at that point. So we're constantly working on building something that we really know is going to be beneficial for people. And that's not necessarily because of what we do, but it's more about the space that we're creating and the people that we want to join it. I come across everyone I meet is inspirational with the meetings that I'm having in my day to day. And it's now, right, well, how do we share that information and allow other people to benefit from it and push forward together?
That's great. And it does come across, like I say, people should follow you, because you can see the sort of conversations you're having with people all over the country. We can see the how awesome it is for you and for the people you're meeting. So it's great to see. Andy Hosgood, similar reasons or something a bit different for you?
No, I think we all come at it from a different experience, which is the whole collaboration piece, isn't it? I think, and like Andy said, me and him have been, we've always been really open to chat, and we've always shared stuff in safe spaces. And one of the things, I think if we're really transparent, when we first sat down and was like, what is it we're trying to create? The clarity of that, so, probably wasn't for me as clear as it is now. What we were very clear on what we didn't want it to be. And I think sometimes that can be just as good for creating clarity, as we knew it didn't want to be a place where it was guru led, We didn't want it to be a place where it was just a load of information and we didn't really care how it landed. One of the things we were all quite clear on, like Andy was saying, is how do we create a community? How do we create environment? How do we create space for people that they feel that they can turn up and, share what's going on in their world, and they could feel safe to open up about something that might sound that they should know, and how can we create a space where people feel they can drop in or feel that they can be helpful to others. And I think that's the ultimate thing, isn't it? For me, what's been great about what we've done so far, if I can kind of move to that, 9 months ago we had a concept. We launched the scorecard app basically as a proof of concept to say, we have an assumption. So if we think about, research, we've got a hypothesis of what we believe is needed within healthcare. We then created a survey, which is the score app, to kind of prove that. And I think what shocked us an awful lot from the data, and I think you've got the link that you're going to share later for people who want to take part in it. I think what was really interesting to us was that an awful lot of people were not completely satisfied where they were in their career, which is what we'd been hearing. And Andy, like you've already said, spends a lot of time up and down the country having real conversations one-to-one, which I think is incredibly powerful and has been, is really insightful, because I think that, that's information that not many people have, and then what the score app has allowed us to do is compare that. So what we found is not everyone is massively happy where they are. A lot of them know where they would like to be. Not always do they know the barriers, how to overcome the barriers to get there. But one of the really interesting things for me is this almost element of avoidance of taking action towards that. And I think one of the things for me that we've been exploring is, why is there an element where people don't always take the action to move forward? And I think what we've learned from the conversation so far is that, especially my experience in what I do in my other day job of the 8 million jobs that I feel like I do on a weekly basis, is that I think by creating a safe space for you to explore your ideas, to say things out loud, for other peers to turn around and say, have you thought about this, thought about this, thought about this, almost allows you to go, one, it keeps you accountable to making decisions to go, right, I've said that out loud, so I need to do something about it. And actually, now I've said it out loud, it feels real and feels achievable. So people then take action. Does that make sense? I think over that period of time, what we've learned a lot. We've collected quite a lot of data. We've nearly got 200 people that have taken part in the score app. So what's great with that is what it's been helping us is to really shape closer and closer towards the clarity of long-term what this is. And I think my last comment is one of the things that we ultimately want to create is this community of safe spaces where people can feel listened to, heard, low judgment. Is there ever any non-judgment? I don't know, but certainly lower judgment places where people can feel that they can have those honest and open conversations.
That's great. Yeah, and I will give that link shortly for the scorecard. It's great. I mean, I listened to you say there's been 200 responses, which in this day and age is actually really impressive that people have found the time or made the time to actually fill it out, considering how simple it is to do. But it still really inside infuriates me a little bit that it isn't like 2,000. But I think that's part of the problem, isn't it? That's part of the life we live in, maybe, where people don't change because either one, they just don't know what they should be clicking or doing to help themselves, or two, they just have their head buried in the sand doing what they keep doing and wondering why it doesn't work. So this is basically we get a couple of thousand downloads a month. So if people are listening to the podcast, then do yourself a favor, please. What's the movie? Help Me Help You. because you can handle the truth. So I'm going to bring up now the scorecard. This is, if you go to, I'll put this link in the show notes anyway, but if you go to Unbound, so UNBOUND.scoreapp, SCOREAPP.com, then you'll be presented with a scorecard which you can fill out, and it will ask you questions about your business and how you feel, and like Andy's kind of described. The way it's worded will kind of hopefully allow you to be honest, because it's like a coaching interview of some form where it is helping you kind of help yourself. So yeah, do that, because the figures for burnout, I know in sports therapy and massage therapy, loads of people are leaving. I hear loads of comments and you get emails of, I can't do this anymore, it's too hard work. And I think in physiotherapy as well, there's so many people leaving the profession, we haven't got enough people. And probably in healthcare in general, it's just not enough people because people are getting burnt out. So I guess that's part of the reason for this as well, is it? To try and reduce the burnout in clinicians? Because something's being done wrong, isn't it, for so many people to give up?
I think just to go back to the point that you said before is like, why haven't more people filled it in? Like some of my closest friends who are in this industry haven't filled it in, and I'm telling them to do it. And it's sometimes I see it with so many people, me included, everyone's busy, and I hate the expression, I'm busy, I'm doing this stuff. But until something happens, and then it's like, right, I can find time. You can actually find time for anything. But you just don't prioritize a lot of this stuff because it's like, oh yeah, well, I can do that, right? I'm just going to book another appointment in this case, or I'm going to go and do that course or whatever it is. But that's why for me it was transformative when I stopped and thought, no, actually, I'm spending a significant amount of money on the class that I'm in, and you just make it happen. And I'm enforcing that for my team as well internally within PhysiQuip, because I think it's so important to have that reflective practice. And Andy Osgood's been one of the key drivers for me. I'm actually just about to put another post out of Andy talking about how it's so important to reflect. Yeah, this is actually, we recorded this about 3 or 4 years ago, and he was saying how important it is once a month, set some time aside to reflect on what you've done. Because we often don't remember all the good stuff that we've done with things as well. It's not all about, oh, look at all the challenges or all the hard stuff I've done. It's like actually so important to reflect on all the great stuff that you've done as well. And so that's what I come at it from that angle, is like, look, there's so much great stuff that is out there, whether it's collaboration or you're doing it on your own. And that is so important. And bringing that to the group where you can share some of these things is really, really powerful. So Andy had that big impact on me, and probably I didn't even think of it until now, actually, but me joining the group that I'm in now, because we talked about those things, and that reflective piece is massive. So whether it's filling in a questionnaire that takes 10 minutes, whether it's coming to one of our webinars for an hour, or whether it's joining our community that's at some point going to get together once a month, just start doing it, because it's massive.
That's so. I wanted to leave you talking there, but I just wanted to reiterate that point you make. I think it's so significant that people often think that reflection is about owning up and taking ownership of all the things that have gone wrong and the things you're doing wrong. And maybe that's what why people resist it and don't get involved. But what you said is so important. Reflection allows you to focus on the things you've done good as well, and get some affirmations and strengthen, your resolve, and make you realize you're doing good stuff. So yeah, I think that's what, listeners, hopefully that will ring a bell with you and make you realize that it is about celebrating the wins as well. That's really important.
The thing with that is, Matt, it's almost against human nature to do that, isn't it? So I think one of the things, and that's, I think what Andy's saying there, is that, part of, if we use an MSK thing, as healthcare professionals, partly one of the things we will see is people overloading themselves. And one of the things we have to sometimes encourage them to do is recover more and rest more. And I think healthcare professionals need to follow some of their own advice they give. One of the things that we often used to do with an athlete is, okay, so if you're going to be pushing that hard, where you're going to recover, and when are you going to get time to work out what's working and what's not? And the same concept as us as humans, healthcare professionals, business owners, whatever. First of all, do we see the importance of stopping and understanding where we are? and what have we learned so far actually that we can learn to take better, because reflecting is part of learning. And if we just look at the learning cycle, it's part of that, isn't it? It's actually learning what's worked, what's not worked, what can I take from this, what do I need to change to move forward. So actually, if you're never really developing and growing and learning, if you're not taking time to reflect on your learning. So for me, it's a strength to actually put time in your life to stop, reflect, and do that. Personally for me, I use my dog walk as my reflecting, so what I would call multitask. It's a time of going, how do I process stuff that's gone well or things have gone less well, and how do I make them different? That's part of a daily routine, which I appreciate is easier said than done for a lot of people in busy lives, like I said. But actually leaning into that, and that's why we believe creating these spaces where people, and sometimes it's not even about contributing, is it? Sometimes it can be sitting in the background, listening to others, can be inspirational to self. Listening to others can help inspire self. Listening to others sometimes goes, actually, I think like that. Okay, so therefore I'm normal. Or, all of these things can be helpful. And also I think on this point that, a conversation certainly that we've been having is, I think a lot of the time people believe that the only people feeling the way they feel. So actually listening to a group of people that go, well, I feel like that, and I feel like that, and I feel like that. I go, okay, so actually what I'm feeling is normal. Can actually be quite a nice place to sit as well. Not everyone wants to be normal, but sometimes it's quite nice to be normal as well, isn't it?
Yeah, no, it's great points. But it is tricky, isn't it? Because you're trying to help people to reflect by filling out a reflective questionnaire, but because that's a problem in healthcare, we don't pause and reflect. We're kind of like operators fixing people. We don't stop and think, oh, how much of that was because of me, or why did that not work? We just presume that everyone we touch is good, and if they don't get better, it's because they didn't do what we told them to do. So it's just something which is so alien to us. But I guess it's ironic, isn't it? You're trying to get people to fill out this questionnaire or join these safe places to have wonderful conversations, but to do that, they need to find that intrinsic motivation to cross that step anyway. But I think the safe spaces are a really good start. So if it's all right with you, we'll move on to that, because you are providing these kind of more or less monthly taster sessions for people to, like you say, just come along and sit in the background if they want to. We do kind of say, because I've been along to them, and I get, in this scenario, you do have to switch your cam on. And it made me think about that, should you let people in and not put the cam on? But it's kind of the least you can do, because you're not there just for yourself. It's a group thing, isn't it? And even if you don't want to contribute, whoever's speaking needs to know who's behind that camera. So I think it's right. I think I commend you guys for saying, and politely saying, please put your cams on. But yeah, people can come along and just sit there and listen. And like you say, just internally realize what other people are saying is the same problems as you've got, and you are normal, and then maybe come along next time and maybe share a problem and have the wonderful opportunity for you guys, coaches, to talk them through it and just kind of walk with them and have them go through their problems and share them. So yeah, I thought, as Andrew's not here with us tonight, bless him, daddy duties, I believe, there is a nice video which will play of Andrew, which I was advertising a taster session. Before we say that, there is another taster session coming up. If you're listening to the podcast, then you can't see the screen, obviously. But if you go to unbound-project.com, and these will go in the show notes, then you'll see a button, book now. And that will take you actually to the event page, where you will see a link for the free taster session, the next one, which is on December if I remember rightly, December the 8th, Monday, December the 8th at 7 o'clock. And it's free. Okay, people, I know that's shocking to hear in this day and age, but it's free, and it's a chance for you to go along for the hour if you want. You don't have to stay for the whole hour, but go along and see what it's all about. And I appreciate that will probably be quite a difficult step for some of you, but it is, because it's going back to attending something live. But try and do it. That's all I can say. If you're a therapist, business owner, or thinking of setting up a business, if you're feeling burnt out, just go along and see what maybe you're missing out on. And honestly, in a lot of cases, it literally does. And I don't use this phrase kind of like jokingly. It can change your life massively and the lives of everyone around you if you just start moving into this kind of safe place to talk about stuff. So yeah, let's listen to Andrew talk about that. I'll put him on now.
Hi, I'm Andrew McCauley from the Unbound Project, and we are doing something different for healthcare professionals. It's not a lecture or a webinar, it's an open, honest conversation. So if you've got a problem right now, maybe setting up your private practice, stepping into a leadership role, or just feeling a bit stuck in your career, bring that problem along to our meeting next Monday. Now, if you feel safe to, you can share that problem with others, be coached live, or sit in the background and ask questions and be curious. The one thing we will ask is psychological safety. We don't want people to feel judged, we just want support and curiosity. So if this is something that interests you, please come and join us next Monday at 7 o'clock and leave with relief, clarity, and some energy back in your tank.
It's a good video. We were talking about that slightly off air, but he does it so well. And anybody who knows Andrew would probably say that didn't come easy for him because he doesn't like being at that end of the camera, does he? But does that sum up nicely? I think it does. But how do you guys, you watch it, does it sum up nicely what those taster sessions kind of offer?
Yeah, I mean, I think before we'd done this, Andrew said, I'm going on a coaching course and I need some volunteers to participate. So he did it with me and actually did it with my now wife as well. And it was massively helpful for me personally, even though I know him really well. We did 3 sessions and same with Gabby, and really, really good. And yeah, I think exactly what he's saying there really is Andrew is he's strong personality, physio, sports scientist, but he's also really just interested in helping people and driven. And that comes through with everything that he's doing. And it just completely resonates with me, the way that he delivers his sessions. And he's been running the sessions so far, but also then we do have a lot of contribution. So Andy's brilliant in terms of his organisation, his coaching, and we all do bring different bits to it. But fundamentally, I just think the way Andrew's approach to coaching is really that has been transformative for me. That was all about my physical fitness and so on. It was similar for Gabby. So yeah, he's been very helpful for me personally, and that's why I like being a part of the group. Not just because I'm a co-founder, but because I'm learning from it all the time as well.
And I think that the thing that, and to add some context to this, me and Andrew spent an awful long time discussing what does psychological safety mean. And in the coaching space, the facilitation space, it's thrown about a lot. You only need to look on LinkedIn and it's, this is, and so we spent a lot of time because, my experience of healthcare has been, it is full of judgment. It was very interesting having some really open conversations at the event that you said that we were at in Exmouth, how, a lot of soft tissue therapists felt really judged by others. And, judgment exists. So actually the skill of trying to create an environment where we reduce the level of judgment or create an environment where people feel they can speak out, I think is a tremendous skill. And, let's big him up while he's not here. Generally I think that alone, setting the scene of creating an environment, the opening part where people feel, it comes across like he's done it really natural, but I can tell you that the amount of time, effort and energy he puts into delivering that the way he delivers it, I think comes across as the passion for what he's trying to do to create that environment. And that's the level of detail that we're actually trying to go into to create this project. It's, how are we constantly trying to improve our environment so we can make more and more people feel safe to have those conversations, that more and more people feel comfortable, brave enough, confident, whatever it is, to turn up, firstly, to put the camera on, to maybe just get involved in the chat, and eventually actually feel comfortable enough to share the problem. And I think that is Because, you know, if you've been coached, then sometimes you get asked a question that might make you feel a little bit uncomfortable. And actually it's done because, and I spent the day talking about this, actually some of the real answers happen in our unconscious rather than our conscious awareness. So the actual skill of getting some of the best work out of ourselves is to being a bit uncomfortable, asking a question that allows you to move into your thought process and your unconscious, and helping that bring it into your conscious. So actually now you're aware of it, what can you do with that information? So yeah, there's an awful lot of what goes behind what feels like a 1 hour kind of conversation. There's a lot of, you know, especially from our perspective, a lot of time, effort, and energy in conversations, and 8,000 WhatsApp messages a day. Just making sure we're fine tuning everything, you know, and that's, you know, from the evidence we're creating from our scorecard app, the conversations we're having on and off line, everything is coming back to make sure we create the environment that's the best.
Yeah, that's really good. It's useful that people realise the effort that does go into providing a safe, non-judgmental place. It's easy to say that, but if people can appreciate the amount of work and study and research that goes into it, then hopefully they can feel a little bit kind of more secure in coming along and realising it. And also every time people do come along, and because a lot of people do come back week after week, then suddenly you're not just moving into a space with you three, for example, you've got suddenly 3 or 4 other really great individuals who are going to be providing that safe, non-judgmental space and coming up with advice if you want it, or reflecting, or asking questions that could be the exact question, like you say, you needed to be asked to kind of unravel a new layer. So it is kind of a little bit like a snowball effect, isn't it, where you grow as a community. And that's the idea, I guess, isn't it, to get this community growing. So suddenly you've got a whole room full of like-minded individuals who are not going to judge you, who will share problems and solutions.
Yeah, I mean, if I could go big, bold, and beautiful, I think what I would like, and a bit like what Andy was saying, you know, Andy's part of a very successful peer-to-peer group already, but still, even listening to the conversations that go on, he can take something from it. You know, one of the things for me, I guess my ultimate goal is the ripple effect of this. You know, if you're in an organization and you feel that you're not, like Andrew was talking about, that you're just not satisfied where you are, and especially the data we're collecting, there's a lot of people saying that. You come to an event like this, realize there's a different way to set a scene, a different way to communicate with people, a different way to ask questions, and you then start adopting that framework and you take that back into the organization you're doing, the bigger the ripple effect for healthcare is actually we're going to start to lower the judgment. So, you know, for me, it's great that we're having this, and I'm really excited for next year. And when we eventually start doing face-to-face and we can really spend days together and really get really under the layers that we can do when we are face-to-face and we spend more time together. But actually, then the ripple effect of what that does across healthcare, I think, could be potentially really, really powerful.
I think as well, I'd just like to point out, it makes you feel better as well. Like, as somebody who goes to groups like this, once you overcome your own initial fears, and then you are able to be part of that safe place and welcome other people to come in, when you see them relaxing their shoulders and suddenly coming out with stuff, I think naturally as humans, it makes us feel good about ourselves to be part of that provision of a safe place. It's just such a nice thing to offer another human being. So it's not only just for you, it's helping others as well, which I think is a really beautiful thing. Sorry, Andy, you were going to say something. I butted in there.
No, I think I was going to say, just following on. So one of the topics that came up in the last one was about people feeling guilty, and as they progress in their business and they're developing, and it came up. So I did a live stories with Len Funk, the shoulder surgeon, on Monday, which is going out tomorrow. And he said exactly the same thing. He's like, as he's coming to the end of his career, or he's moved into a little bit of it, is you can have that guilt as to, all right, I should be doing this. So even someone that is professor, orthopedic surgeon, really well known, he's having the same thing as what someone like who's just starting out in the career is having. And so I definitely learn from everything, and it's not just from people like Len. It's from people that are younger people that you're interacting with as well. Because I was saying it to Gabby actually we went out for coffee this morning, and you think by the time you get to 30, you're going to know everything. By the time you get to 40 and beyond. And the reality is, like, you definitely don't, and you never solve anything. So it's something that this is for me. This is completely long term. This is going to be a long term project that we're working on. It's not it's going to be a commercial venture, but it's not about that. We really want to have an impact, and so using words like transformative and all of those things, they are just words. But I truly believe, from my experience in the market, that we will help with it, and I'm so confident. And we're already seeing things, even though we're not directly doing the face-to-face things, because of the conversations I'm having out in the field. I love it. It's really nice to be able to share some of these things, and obviously not the confidential things, but just the general feeling of what's out there, and that people are feeling the same way. It does make you feel good. And that's really what we want. When I go back to why I do what I do, I want people to love working for the organisations I'm involved with, but also with us. And that's the same with anything, really. It's too short a life to not be enjoying what you're doing. And I really think this can help with that.
Yeah, great points.
And I think just with that, and I think what Andy made a really nice point is that, there's an assumption, isn't it, that when you become at a level, so if you become more successful, that you've worked out everything out in life. And actually, one of the interesting things is, sometimes you look at people, and because of their title or their status, we make the assumption they've got all their ducks in a row. And I think actually when we have honest conversations, it comes out that they haven't got the ducks in a row either, or they're battling exactly the same things as the person. So, the great thing I think with human interaction and human connection, which is ultimately what we're trying to create, is we are all humans, aren't we? So that surgeon that Andy, and he's done a great job. He's operated on me twice. Two different joints, not the same thing. So that's a good thing, and both successful outcomes. But, it's one of those things where you would assume the career that he's had, that actually, he's achieved everything. So why would there be any other underlying stuff? And actually, that just shows, doesn't it, that even if you are, you look at other people and you think they've got it all together, I think, actually when we open up the space, we are all human. We're all suffering from the same thing. So actually that problem shared can be, a really helpful thing to do.
And yet, still with that, even though I know it, and we've talked about it for how many years, Andy H., I still am amazed when he says it. So, do you know what I mean? It's like it's a constant learning for all of us. My God, even Len's saying this stuff is that, wow, that is really interesting. So it's, even though you know all of this stuff, and that's why I think it's not a course that you come on and you learn that and then that's it. It's a constant development and thing for you to, it's a constant growth all the time with it, really. And that's what I like about it, is that you're not coming on a session, oh yeah, just send me the PowerPoint of that. It's like, no, it's not that. It's an investment and a lifelong thing.
And I guess with that, what was interesting, we had some feedback early on. It's not for me. And it was the curiosity of going, what was the expectation of what it was? And I think there is an assumption that you are going to come on and there is going to be a PowerPoint and we are going to share some slides and it's going to be this. And actually, when you come on, it is just a really open and honest conversation. And it really is about genuinely, if you've got something, how can we all genuinely share this? Because actually, we're all on our own journey in the way we are doing it. And we all feel the same way. So actually, how do we support each other? And, for listeners that are curious, okay, so what? You come on this, the really interesting thing is one of the guys, and I'm sure he won't mind me saying, but, he came in with an idea that he wanted to leave the NHS and wanted to set up his private practice, but didn't really know where to go. and was brave enough to say that out loud. And he was getting advice in the first session from a really, really experienced clinic owner. He didn't know who she was, which was really interesting, which was cool. And, what she'd done in the world, but he was getting advice to the extent where he's now joined on every one and he'll launch his first business by next year. So actually just by being part of a community is giving him the motivation, the encouragement and the bravery to go, right, let's commit to this. And I think for me, that's a real testament of, what we've achieved just over the last few webinars. So then, what fills me with excitement is to go, okay, so if after that we've helped somebody go from being stuck into taking action, what can next year bring for the people that come in? And I think that's the real thing. It's exciting, isn't it? It's to explore with curiosity, what on earth could we achieve if we all work together?
Yeah, I think it is important as well to help listeners realize that there is a direct connection between this reflection and contemplation and sharing and collaborating and with your business success. Because I think a lot of people in healthcare do it because there's a certain altruism, they want to help others, and they get a kick out of that. But then they start burning out because they're seeing so many people and it's not working, they're not getting the return they thought. So a lot of the solution to people's businesses is looking after yourself, changing you, looking inside and going down different avenues. So that's what this is all about. And yeah, I mean, we've seen a few of those sessions where people have opened up and they've gone on to be able to have the confidence to make serious decisions and hopefully benefit from it. So yeah, definitely attached to improving your business, and not just, financially, but just helping you be more happy with what you're doing, getting better results and so on. There was, just for people who are interested in the Score app, okay, so I mentioned earlier on, if you go to unbound.scoreapp.com, there's a questionnaire which will start the process of reflecting on your business and how happy you are and your goals. Somebody in the chat has mentioned that they went there and filled it out. Thanks very much. And they said, I got 49%. Can you put some context to that? What does that mean, the percentage result that people get?
I feel this is going to be leaning on me to answer this question.
Yes, please.
I looked at your face and I thought you were going to go, please, Andy, answer this question. And it's relative, Matt, isn't it? It's relative to, so is it Tim?
Yeah.
And so it's relative. Look, for me, when we're looking at anything, it's, Tim's obviously taking the time to fill that out. What that report will do is it's looking at different areas of lots of different areas of where they are, where they're stuck. So 49 actually just means it's a present state moment, isn't it? That's where you are now. What the report will actually do is then also highlight areas of where you probably need to focus your time, effort, and attention on. And I guess the question for me to Tim is, what is about the report that resonated? Is a percentage important, or is it shows you areas that you're doing well in and areas that you probably need to focus in? Is that what's important? I think the percentage is relative. It's just how the Score app kind of tries to create a metric, if that makes sense. I think the relative part for me is, what does it tell you as a mirror? So if you were to hold a mirror up to yourself, does that feel like a true reflection? If not, then be curious about how you answered the questions and what it's showing, and then what's the difference. Is that a good answer or a relative answer?
So two people could score 49%, but for different reasons, because of different
Correct.
Answers they gave. But is the idea the percentage, like if somebody scored 100%, that means you got no problems, everything's going swimmingly, and you're being super positive? And is the lower the percentage, meaning the more problems you've got or issues you're not facing, or how does it work with the idea of giving you a tangible percentage?
I will. The honest answer to that is there is an assumption that the questions are all not relevant, just generic in some. I would say the questions were all relevant and not just generic like some questions. Okay, thanks, Tim. That's good feedback. For me, I wouldn't get the argument if you're scoring lower in a percentage, then I would say that what the report will do is tell you what's the relative of that. Mm-hmm. I guess the thing is, I would argue if you're scoring low, then there's lots of areas where you probably need to focus your time, effort, and attention. Okay. My curiosity is then where would the hardest part with that is bring that with you and then discuss where we need to start. Mm-hmm. Because sometimes that can be the thing. I certainly wouldn't, unfortunately there is a percentage, that's just because of the way the score app works. Okay. If it was me, it would be more about what is each section telling you. Okay. In the sense, if that makes sense. So
yeah. So don't dwell too much on the final number. It's just something that gets
percentage. Yeah. I think the problem is when we have a percentage, we automatically move to school and go, is that a pass or a fail?
Did I fail? Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, and actually all 19 means is that you probably need to think about what you need to do to get it higher up the scale rather than worried about the actual percentage.
But you did say earlier on that overall there were some kind of interesting traits amongst the responses, and one of the ones you mentioned that a lot of people weren't happy where they were, or was there what did you mention were some of the traits you've seen?
Yeah, certainly. So one of the things we were looking at was, almost a satisfaction score of where people felt they were in their career.
Okay.
One of the interesting factors was not everyone was. What we found was there was quite a low amount of people that felt where they were was where they wanted to be. Mm-hmm. The interesting fact to that, there was also a low of people confident taking action towards moving forward.
Okay, yeah, got you. Yeah.
So which for me, I think is across a lot of sections, not just healthcare. Sectors, not sections, across healthcare where. There's a lot of emotion, isn't there, from being where you are and making change, and that, and I think what that leads us to do is curious. Okay, so why? What's the behaviour that underpins that? Mm-hmm. What's the and how do we help facilitate people to become a bit like that example that we used before of going, I'm not happy where I am. I actually want to create this business, but I feel a bit stuck. So how do we help bridge that gap through conversations and through these non-judgmental spaces?
That's great. I think also, just the part of it is asking questions. That's the root of coaching for it, because people will come and say, I don't feel happy in whatever that they're doing, say. But then actually a few questions later, it's like, well, what would make you happy? What are you looking for for these people? And sometimes it can be the grass is greener, and once you actually delve into it a little bit more, it's like, well, what are you looking to achieve here? What are you trying to do? What aren't you happy with? All of those things. Even that reflective process just helps them think, actually, okay, right, yeah, that helps, because you can come with a preconceived idea of, right, I'm not happy, I want more money, I want to do that, I want to work with athletes, or whatever it may be. And just having that bit of just stopping, having Andy or anyone ask some questions of you, helps just get you thinking and just be like, okay, because it's certainly not right. Okay, right, you want to do athletes, right? We'll go and speak to them and da. Now we can do that, but I don't think it's as helpful as actually just getting you to understand what you're really wanting to do. Because a score, like you said, 49% is completely irrelevant. Mm-hmm. It's about you, where you are, and trying to move yourself, and that's all it is really. Is like, okay, you've made progress, and same with clients, as in if you're assessing your patients. It's all about move, positive change. That's what I think is so important, and making yourself accountable. It's not about Andy, me, or Andrew to say, right, okay, we're holding you accountable. You've got to take ownership for this stuff, and that's why these things really help you with that. So whether it's with us, whether it's with whatever you're doing, get time out to do it, because it's that cognitive process of reflecting and working through these questions makes a massive difference.
It's great. Fascinating stuff. A few comments here I just want to read out. Gary Benson, founder of the STA. He has said, when members submit their CPD forms, it makes interesting reading. Gradually, the reflections are becoming much more detailed. Attendance at the coffee evenings, chats and accountability sessions is growing. Yeah, that's great to hear. And we are trying to do, we're trying to follow the same kind of thing with the STA and encourage people to chat with each other, use the fact you're paying money for a professional association to meet up with individuals and create safe places where people can share problems. So I mean, that's something which, again, I think listeners, you have got obviously the what we're offering here with the Unbound Project, but if you're belonging to a professional association and you're paying money for that, that's kind of one of the things they're supposed to be providing you. They're not supposed to be selling you courses or making you spend even more money. They might offer something, but ultimately it's supposed to be about support and providing you with those conversations and ears and people to mix with. So no one out there, that's why Gary set up the STA, was no one should feel alone. If you're in healthcare, you need to be in a network, especially if you're a solo clinician, which is sometimes the most loneliest place in the world. Take advantage of the fact you do belong to an association or organisation, and try and get involved in these meetups, and find the confidence to share and help yourself and also help others. Steve Kirby, also, hey Steve, good to see you. Steve Kirby says, I think Andy is right. It's great. All three of them are right. Recovering from sepsis. Good to hear you're recovering, Steve. Steve says, taking time out and resting is so important. Being up to working and treating people. I love it. Doing therapy isn't a job for me. It's a passion and I love it. Resting, taking time out. My work has been very much improved. Better clinical outcomes for my patients. Great show, Matt. Keep it going. Thank you, Steve. And great to hear that you're on an upward trajectory in regards to your health. And yeah, I mean, that's so positive, a silver lining. You've been in a horrible situation, horrible situation, but now you've reached the place where you're thinking, wow, thanks to that time out, I'm actually enjoying life more and having better clinical outcomes. That's super positive, Steve. That's really cool. Let's hope that people don't kind of wait until they're in similar situations to you to have their rest. We need to do that now, isn't it? That's kind of the take-home message. Don't wait to be out of action. But yeah, thanks, Steve, for sharing that. And Tim came back, like you said, and said, I will say the questions were all relevant and not just generic like in some questionnaires. Yeah, it's a really good questionnaire. I recommend you people do it. It could be just a step to self-reflection, which you haven't really done before. And it's so interesting and relevant for healthcare professionals as well, from whatever career you've got. Go and have a little look at that. We'll make sure it goes in the show notes. Right, it's 8:54. We have said that the next taster session is. God, I've just realised how long Andrew McCauley has had his photo up there for practically the whole of the. He'll be so happy with that, won't he? He's been up there the whole episode.
I've got a picture of it. Don't worry.
I was going to say I've just taken one. Yeah, it'd be.
He deserves it.
Be in the group chat in a minute.
It's like having him here with us, just a lot more peaceful. It's lovely. It's nice. So yeah, the next taster session is Monday, the 8th of December, 7 o'clock. We'll put that in the show notes and links to it as well. Do recommend you come along to that. And then also, if people do like the taster sessions, then the next stage is or join up with a community. And how does that work? What is the community at the moment, and how do people join that?
Yeah, so it's an online community. What will happen is so even if you've done the scorecard, you will get an invite. So you'll get an email invitation to join the community. What we've done is so obviously come in, introduce yourself, say hello to everybody. What you can do from that community, we've created some themes and some threads. So if you've got an issue around your business or where you are, just pop in a conversation, pop in what you're looking to get from it, and then what you'll find as community members, we're all kind of joining that conversation. If you're asking a question, then normally you'll get maybe another question back, like what Andy was saying. Sometimes it's not always about an answer, it's about a bigger question to help you to move your thinking forward. The three of us hang out in there, so we're always jumping in as well and answering and sharing our insights along the way. And if you're in the community, you can also download an app from that, and so you can actually get that app on your phone, so you don't have to keep logging into a laptop. So you can then it's just another space where if you've got something on your mind and you'd like to just get some insights from other people, it's just a place where you can just drop in a question and get some insights from other people's viewpoints of the world, and hopefully help either solve your problem or move your problem in the direction that you want it to go.
That's great. And it's really interesting as well, because we've had a few episodes on how toxic social media can be, and people turning to Facebook or Twitter or wherever thinking they're going to get a solution. Actually, they get more of a headache and feel even worse and wish they'd never even asked a question. So this sounds like a really nice alternative to the dangers that are out there if you go down kind of the social media route looking for support.
Well, the nice thing is we can regulate ours, can't we? I don't think we can regulate Facebook. I don't think Mark Zuckerberg can regulate Facebook, or when he tries to, gets told off for being too regulative. So, there's, I think, and that is, ultimately all of our goal, I'll talk from my perspective, Andy can obviously answer for himself, is all the effort is to creating these spaces where people feel that it is going to be, where we could be challenged, but it's from challenge of a place of love and curiosity rather than a place of judgment and shame. And that's certainly one of the big drivers of what we're all about and how we can then progress that forward.
Amazing. Great.
Yeah. And I think just to add on to that, like you mentioned, Gary, like the work that you do at the STA is brilliant, and like you've always really driven that, and you stands pat at Therapy Expo, and it's great. And it's, I think for us is this, it's not, oh yeah, the Unbound Project is all you need to do on this. It's just actually we want to create spaces that allow you to be open and vulnerable. I think it's not at all like that, particularly in healthcare. Again, I'm involved in other industries, and healthcare is particularly not like that. So anything that we can do to create that is we do it. So whether it's a Physiquip event, whether it's one of Andy H's coaching courses that he's doing, Andrew McCauley's always packed out S&C for therapists. They're all spaces to have these conversations. And what Unbound is there to do is this is dedicated specifically to this. You go to a conference, I'll go to Therapy Expo next Thursday, and you'll have like 2 minutes to chat to someone, then you're on to the next one. It doesn't give you any quality time to actually have these conversations and get into anything of depth. What we're here to do is create that space where we can do things, go a bit deeper on it, and just to help people, again, including ourselves with it as well. So that's what I'm so excited about, is creating something that's dedicated to it, not just an afterthought.
Yeah, definitely.
It's great. I'm convinced. Convince me. Just got to convince everyone else now. It's a little bit trickier, but there we go. Right. So wonderful. Thanks for joining us live, people. For listeners, if you are interested in finding out more about the Unbound Project, then you could follow them on Instagram if you use Instagram. So that's at the.unbound.project. LinkedIn is a great place. If you're a professional, then Unbound Project, just search that on LinkedIn and you can follow and updates and posts there. Or you can follow the individual people, the founders, Andy Thomas on Instagram, Andy Hosgood, and Andrew McCauley. I'll give you all those in the show notes, so not to kind of read them all out now. But yeah, and also if you have got any questions, like I always say, then leave the comments, go to YouTube and leave questions in there. We do monitor YouTube, and it's got a great shelf life, so we can keep this conversation going. It's not just one episode. Don't talk any more about it. So if you are listening to the podcast, and first of all, thank you. But if you've got any further questions, do go to YouTube and leave something in the comments there. Right, next Tuesday, there's not going to be a podcast, as we will be, I say we, myself and Gary and the other people from the STA will be heading to Therapy Expo. So if you are going to be there, do visit us. We'll be in the same kind of place on that back wall. There's not an STA theatre this year, which I'm so excited about because we did the Exmouth conference, but I will be able to actually walk around and have conversations with people and not feel I need to be somewhere at certain times. So it's going to be remarkably more relaxed for me, which is wonderful. I can't wait for it. It's the first time in 10 years or something, so it's really good. So yeah, I'm gonna be there for chats if everybody wants that, and other people on the STA stand. ST School is going to be there as well. So yeah, if you are going along there this year, then make sure you find us and we can have a talk, we can have a chat. If you've enjoyed this episode, as always, do please subscribe to our YouTube channel and leave a rating and review on your preferred podcast app. I always say it takes, again, it'll take 10 seconds, all it takes, but it will make a difference for the great kind of word from our guests to appear higher in Google search results. So somebody puts in collaboration, if you've left a nice review or rating or something, bam, it'll appear higher up. Simple as that. So if you want to help the industry, start by leaving a rating or review. For these shows that we do, all 263. You can go back and leave ratings for all of them. Just, time management, that'll be fine. Right, so that's it. Nothing next week, but we will be back the week after with an update from how Therapy Expo went. Just leaves me to say thank you so much to Andy Hosgood. Thanks for joining us again, Andy.
Thank you, Matt.
And Andy Thomas. Pleasure as always. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And Andrew McCauley, who is here in spirit, not in person, but Andrew, thanks as well for everything you do. And everyone who's listening, thanks so much for joining us live. Thank you for the podcast listeners. Take care of yourselves and of each other. And we'll see you very soon. Bye-bye.